Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad. Today we'll be talking to the Clark County Fire Chief, John Steinbeck, who's running for Senate District 18. Coming up on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Big R is Northern Nevada's #1 golden fire wood pellet supplier. More heat, less ash, 100% natural, and no additives. And there's only one place that stocks this many wood pellets, and that's Big R in Sparks, Winnemucca, Fallon, Fernley, and Lovelock. A river of wood pellets at Big R.
Find your pot of gold at Carson Valley Inn during the Leprechaun Loop Progressive giveaways. Jackpot progresses $2,500 each drawing night up to $20,000. And $10,000 in grand prize giveaways guaranteed Saturday, March 30th. Get your share of Leprechaun loot at the Carson Valley Inn.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined today by John Steinbeck, who's running for the Senate down in Clark County. John, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Randi. Thank you for having me here today.
Well, I appreciate, first of all, your service. I understand you're the fire chief for Clark County, so tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm the fire chief of Clark County. I've been with the department now for 34 years. I'm married. I have 4 children. 1 granddaughter, and I've been the fire chief now since 2020, became the chief 1 week after our first COVID case. And so that kind of defined my life at that point in time. But previous to that, I was the deputy fire chief, emergency manager for Clark County. And then I held the ranks of battalion chief, captain, engineer, firefighter throughout my career, and really excited to now try to go ahead and move forward with public service at the legislative level.
Well, it looks like you started fire at the fire department like when you were 2, because you don't look old enough to be 30 years into the service. But thank you for your service.
Thank you. I love hearing that. I was 19 years old when I started with the department, and I've been a firefighter for much more of my life than I wasn't. So it's a lot of what I've done.
And I understand, we have a mutual friend, Caleb Cage, and I understand you worked with him when he was the director of emergency management for the state. So how was that relationship, and how prepared is the state for emergencies, do you think?
Well prepared. Now, always, and I always say that any state, local government, federal government even can be overwhelmed. Mother Nature especially is much stronger and better prepared than we are. So we get overwhelmed, but I think the state is in a good position right now. I think that we've prepared diligently. I think if you take a look at our responses over the years, certainly myself and Caleb, we were in our positions for the 1 October shooting. Mm-hmm. We certainly have built a lot more capacity since then. And that capacity showed itself at the UNLV incident. I think as we take a look at some of the flood responses, even the fire responses, they're more robust throughout the state. So we do try to improve our resources. We try to improve our process, and we get better at it. But and sometimes we wish we didn't have the experience that we have, but we do. And so it's our job to make sure that we're as prepared as possible, but still understand that at a moment's notice, we could be overwhelmed, and that we really encourage people, from my side especially, for personal preparedness, because as I've seen throughout the years, I responded to Hurricane Katrina and 9/11 and different events throughout the country. Government agencies can be overwhelmed, and it's really back to neighborhoods and families that can withstand some of the adversity of an emergency on those early hours. That's
a good point. Really, it takes a community to stick together in times of terror and strife and hurricanes and stuff like that, because the government can only do so much. We really need to look out for each other and ourselves. That's something that personal responsibility doesn't always come up when you think of emergency management. It really doesn't. It's a key point of it, right? It's a partnership. There's the individual responsibilities. There's a responsibility of businesses, nonprofits, neighbors helping neighbors. And then, of course, the government has a huge role. Fire service especially has a huge role. But still, if you have 200 incidents happening at the same time, we're not going to be at 200 places at the same time. Right. I thought it was kind of interesting that one of the first press releases that the governor put out when he was elected, in January of 21, I guess that was Northern Nevada got hit with this huge snowstorm, and he had to shut down the government for a couple of days. And he was flying over the state looking at damage from the storms and from the flooding and stuff. So the governor got a quick lesson in Northern Nevada snowfalls, and he got another one this past weekend. So coming from Vegas to Reno for that, and I know he's obviously been to Reno a lot, but it just was funny that one of the first things he did was emergency management on snowfall. It's one of the key points, our key responsibilities of our governor, and we're grateful that we have a governor with the background that he has. Even though it's Southern Nevada, we do have Mount Charleston, which will give us some challenges with snow. We haven't had an avalanche this season. We have them; they're not that rare. We do have evacuations that have to occur, so he's pretty adept at that. But it's a different scale in Northern Nevada. Mm-hmm. So I imagine you worked with him when he was sheriff, and you were the fire chief. Is that correct? Yes, very closely, shoulder to shoulder through a lot of incidents, especially, as I said, the 1 October response, but incidents throughout Clark County over the years, going back many years to where we were both operational, but certainly as we became the leaders of our departments as well. Well, I think we're going to discuss that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Unlock the loop this March at Tamarack Casino. Cash and free play giveaways all month, including a progressive jackpot giveaway up to $20,000 and a guaranteed $20,000 cash winner in the Golden Ticket Finale. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined today by Fire Chief from Clark County, John Steinbeck, who's also a candidate for Senate District 18. So I take it, Chief, that you're going to retire from being a fire chief, or are you going to do both fire chief and be a senator?
No, if elected, I will retire and concentrate completely on the duties of Senate District 18, serving the constituents and concentrating on this next session. I do have the ability to do both jobs at the same time. We are a government that encourages some of that, but those two jobs at the same time would be too difficult. And I want to do each one of them at the best of my ability. And I think I would do them. I would be mediocre if I tried to do them both.
Well, I appreciate that. And there's definitely a lot of time it takes to be in the Senate. It's not just the session. There's the interim committees that continue on throughout the year. So it is becoming more and more of a full-time job. So what motivated you to run for the Senate?
So public service has certainly been what I've done my whole life. I've been very politically active as well throughout my life, working on different bills. And back in 2005, I worked with Senator Dina Titus on a child protection bill. That was to protect our kids from child predators. It was a Jessica's Law, similar to the one that Florida had passed, and there had been laws in Florida, Louisiana, and Arizona at that time. I helped to write that legislation, formed a nonprofit to get that through, ended up joining with Nevada Child Seekers, where I'm still on the board today. But that really motivated me to continue. Following the shooting on 1 October, we found different gaps that we had in our ability to respond, state resources and even local resources. So there were 10 emergency management bills that we authored and we pushed through, and each one of those passed. And last year I worked on a fireworks improvement on our fireworks restrictions to also get that passed. And so I've enjoyed that process. I've thought I've been pretty effective with it. I do see some concerns here in the state. I love this state, and more than I can possibly describe. And I think I have something to offer. And then the governor asked me to run. He needs some assistance. He's seen what I've been able to do, and that made my decision easy.
Oh, that is great. So I imagine you've already been knocking on doors and talking and listening to voters. What are some of the issues that you're hearing?
Yeah, so I have been knocking on doors, and it's the things that you would expect, the same things in most families, right? So cost of living, inflation have been right there at the top. Really concerns with immigration have been really there at the top. Housing, medical, and crime and public safety have been the top things that I've heard when I go to the doors. Another one that is very common is the security of our elections.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So do you have priorities when you're going down there? Do you have in your mind, I'm going to tackle this issue and this issue?
I do. There's dozens of issues, and you gotta try to be open to all of them and understanding that, but you have to have your priorities too. And my 4 priorities are public safety, excuse me. That's what I've done my whole life, and I'm going to be an expert in that field. That's really in my wheelhouse. Another one though, and it's been on the governor's list, it's on so many people's lists, and I didn't just mention it, but it is education. We need to really try to make sure that that we can improve our public school system and also give more choices. We got great teachers here in Nevada. I came through the public school system here, but our national ranking isn't something that we can accept. We have to improve that. Our current absentee levels with high school students isn't something we can accept. And our current teacher shortages isn't something we can accept. So we really have to take a look at that and try to make those improvements. And I think that's a bipartisan issue, something that we can really work together towards. Diversifying the economy. I mentioned that I was a fire chief during the COVID pandemic. And certainly facing that and taking a look at the life safety issues as a top priority that we had and what we focused on. I had a pretty big responsibility in making sure we could provide those services. But following that was the realization of the economic reality of our industry being shut down and that impact. And even as a department head, how was I going to pay for those services if this was to be ongoing? And then looking at the struggles that so many of our business owners and employees and people that have worked their whole lives have lost. So diversifying and strengthening our economy and making it resilient for those is certainly a priority. And then the fourth priority that I have is medical access and improved medical care. Again, this is just a product of my experience. Seeing so many people that 911 is their primary healthcare provider, seeing so many people that aren't getting that just don't have the access to all of the specialists that they need or on these long wait lists. Seeing the hospitals at full capacity and some of the difficulties and shortages of support personnel as well as nurses and doctors. So, Randy, those would be my priorities that I'm looking to try to make improvements.
That's a big list, but it's an awesome list. And those are all priorities that I think most Nevadans would have too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll continue this discussion. We'll be right back after this.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad, and I'm joined by Fire Chief from Clark County, John Steinbeck, who's a candidate for Senate District 18. So, Chief, you mentioned something at the last of our discussion that really is intriguing, how 911 might be the medical access for a lot of people. And we do have a shortage of doctors and nurses and all kinds of medical providers in our state. And part of the problem, as the governor's even pointed out, is the licensure aspect. We don't have compacts with a lot of states for doctors' licenses. So that's a big issue to tackle on how to expand medical access for everybody. But I don't know if people really understand that the fire chief doesn't just look at fires. I mean, you are a medical provider to some extent, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the primary medical provider for emergency services, and out of 100, we had over 180,000 calls of service last year. 90% of those were EMS related, right? They were medical related. And so that is something that, a vital service that we provide. And we see where we are the appropriate resource, and we see where we are just the only resource that's available. And we want to make sure that we're being utilized when we're the appropriate resource, but we want to make sure that people are getting the care that they need, that's beyond the emergency resources. So, if somebody has a chronic illness, or of course, it's been well documented, the issues of mental illness, a drug addiction, we might have a role in that, but to have them only be able to have access to 911, then we bring them into an emergency room that then really only treats the acute issue right there, and then they go back out and they still have the same problem. That's heartbreaking, and it's something that I really hope that we can address. And I think the best way to do that is to expand our healthcare system, make it as robust as possible, and then increase access for people, and work on those preventative measures as well.
So in looking at some of the legislation in the medical sector, do you have some specific ideas of what you'd want to do there? I mean, would you look at, like, let's say, the licensure process?
Absolutely. That's critical, right? That we go ahead and we look at that, and then also making it easier for doctors to have businesses here is, the regulatory restrictions, going through those and taking a look and seeing how we can get more doctors to come here and to open up businesses. Certainly also residency programs are very vital for us to have here in Nevada, and have those be very robust, so that a lot of times we'll train talent here. We have amazing young people that go through school here, and then we lose them. Mm-hmm. And so we have to take a look at that. And then the reimbursement rates, that's also something that we have to take a look at. And it has to make business sense for doctors to take all patients. So we have to take a look at how we can improve that as well.
Yeah, I know the governor's come out with his 3-year strategic plan, and I've talked to a couple of his staff who say that Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates need to be higher so that we can expand that access. That's an issue that it's not inexpensive. I mean, it's a third of our budget is health and human services. But we need to look at that, and that is a key element for our government to take on.
I agree, Randy, and it is expensive and it is complex. And if it was easy, we would have already fixed it, right? So I certainly would never overpromise. I'm not going to be able to wave a wand and fix all of these issues, but I do believe that I do have a track record of doing some pretty good problem solving and working collaboratively, and I think we can move the ball forward. And that's really what people are looking for out of their representatives.
Well, the legislation you've already done as a private citizen is amazing. That is very good. So you brought up election integrity, and all of us know that the Secretary of State's office had this glitch where people who didn't vote showed up voting. As a candidate, and I've been a candidate myself, but as a candidate now, how comfortable are you with our elections? And I mean, do you feel that it's going to be a fair race?
I think it'll be a fair race, but I do have concerns, right? And the number one concern is that there's a lot of people that don't have faith in the system right now, and so if we have that, it's all our responsibilities to alleviate some of those fears. I don't like the paper ballots. I think that is just a disaster. I think that they're unsecured. I think that it's just a poor practice, and I'd really like to see us go to a voter ID and back to in-person voting certainly with absentee options for those that can't vote in person. But I do think that we need to make sure that everybody has faith in our election process right now, and we're just not there right now. And so until we are there, then it's imperative that that be a priority for all levels of government to ensure that the democratic process is in place, and that when people cast their votes, they have confidence that it's a fair process.
And I imagine you're hearing this from not just Republicans. I mean, it is a broad issue. Even the polling shows that I think it's 76% of all voters want voter ID. So it's a common thing out there for nonpartisans and Republicans and Democrats.
That's right. I have a incredible friend that's a Democrat that said this is the first thing that he wants to see tackled. Right. Mm-hmm. So it is across the board. It isn't just a partisan. We all need to come together and say, hey, how do we make sure that that this is a process that we can stand 100% behind and say this has been done correctly, and then you let the voters have their say. Yep. And if that happens to be Republican, Democrat, Independent, minor party, that's fine. But they have to we have to make sure that every one of those votes count, and that there's no votes that are inappropriate.
Right. Well, John, thank you for joining us today. Good luck in your race, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Randy, for having me. It was a pleasure.
You bet. We'll be right back after this.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thank you for listening and watching. You can visit us anytime at NevadaNewsmakers.com. Thanks again.